When the Demon King Frog suddenly appears and threatens to destroy the world, our 6-year-old boy Wang Ling reacts in the most rational way possible after observing everyone fleeing in fear. Get some snacks from the store. While battling cultivators, the frog notices our young son and decides to take advantage of the 2-for-1 snack deal. A cultivator named Zhuo arrives in time to save the young boy and defeats the frog by himself. 10 years later, the boy is now enrolled in the 60th Faction's Cultivation and Spiritual School. When he arrives, he meets Sunrong, a young woman with a high level of spiritual force cultivation, who uses a golden beam to shoot away bullies to save him. After that, a test is administered to the students to determine where they will be placed in classes for the year. To determine whether a person belongs to the ordinary class or the elite class, they must defeat a stationary version of the demon frog from 10 years ago. When Wang Ling is summoned to the battlefield, everyone makes fun of his meager cultivation power. He enters the hallway carelessly, and as he approaches, the frog begins to tremble and sweat. He is recognized as the young man from 10 years ago. After dropping his snack at that moment, Wang Ling became furious and defeated the frog with an unmatched godlike kick. Wang Ling returns to the testing area and confronts the frog, raising his hand to punch it but controlling his urge to join the ordinary class. But before he can act, the system abruptly shuts down due to his power, leaving everyone puzzled as to what happened. Wang Ling is still in front of the screen when it suddenly comes back on, flipping the frog over on its back. Everyone's mouths fell to the floor in awe, wondering how a weakling could beat the Demon King. Along with Sunrong, Chen Kao, and Gao Hao, he is assigned to Class Elite. Their first lesson involves calling upon familiars. After explaining the theory, the teacher challenges them to put it into practice by calling a spiritual beast. Sunrong dazzles her classmates with her unusual summon, a skeletal puppy-like creature. Wang Ling then gets a request from the teacher to participate in the activity since he doesn't seem to be paying attention in class. To comply, he calls forth the previous frog. When they see it again, they freak out and flee the classroom in dread of the ghost. The teacher then casts a spell to alter its appearance, turning it into a dog, which calms down everyone. The students return, impressed and seemingly curious about the creature. The dog is given the name Froggy, and its owner, Wang Ling, leaves the classroom and returns home while reflecting on his past. Since birth, he had grown more powerful, increasing his realm of cultivation every 2 years. He was so incredibly strong that he was able to discern his parents' true psychological and emotional states even when they kept them to themselves, which prompted him to wed himself to end their pointless argument and save their marriage. In order to prevent him from going berserk and destroying the world as he grew older, his parents made him wear a power restraining seal. But even with the seal, he still needed to take a golden pill daily to lessen his enormous power. He made the decision to remain under the radar from that point forward until his father finished the second seal. To do this, he went to school and avoided everyone to stay out of trouble and prevent breaking the seal and unleashing his power. But because it also prevents the expression of any emotion, this seal is also a failed experiment. But one day at school, he notices Sunrong attempting to win over supporters in order to win the election for class president. She believes that giving people something is the best way to win their support, so she buys everything in a store and distributes it to the students. Wang Ling doesn't care, but he exchanges 5 of his votes for 5 snack packs and gives her a golden pill as a token of appreciation. When the instructor enters the classroom and notices some signs on the students' heads, he decides that the topic of today's lesson will be the art of seduction. Wang Ling, who can also see the signs on the students' heads, is aware that Sunrong did exactly that to the students. But he quickly understands that it only functions if no one gives her anything in return, which is not the case in this instance since he gave her the pill. He gestures thank you for the delicious snack when Sunrong looks at him, but she interprets it as eat the golden pill. She eagerly swallows the pill, assuming it will give her more energy. She then loses strength, which causes her trick to falter and fail, freeing the target from her enchantment. She gets up to move to the front when the professor asks her to perform the spell for the class. But when she trips over a can, Wang Ling catches her, but when the professor asks him to show the trick, he lets her fall. Sunrong had recited the same phrase before performing the trick at the shop, which he repeats. Unbeknownst to them both, a shockwave of his force field curses travels through the school and successfully captures Sunrong. The next day, Wang Ling is asked out on a date by Sunrong. He doesn't really say yes, but she gets the impression that he did. When he notices assassins on the school roof aiming their guns at Sunrong, he fires a shockwave that knocks one of the men back, preventing him from killing Sunrong. Wang Ling's parents encourage him to meet Sunrong, who has been waiting for him since he woke up, on the date. He ultimately decides to go on the date, which is at a theme park just for the two of them. The two killers pursue them there and shoot at Sunrong, but Wang Ling catches the bullet in his mouth and fires a shockwave back at them, knocking the assailant to the ground. He employs his forgetting ruse to allay the suspicions of Sunrong and the employee of the theme park. Wang Ling keeps fending off the assassins as they continue to enjoy the park. The assassins then follow them in the subsequent car as they ride the Ferris wheel. Once inside their vehicle, the assassins threaten them with a gun. Sunrong opposes them and shields Wang Ling with her body to keep him safe. When Wang Ling becomes enraged, he uses his spiritual power to launch the two assassins into the air and calls upon mercy of the gods to deal with them. He is required to take a few days of rest at home because he stood up for Sun during their date. Gao Hao, Kao Chen, and Sun Rong, 3 of his classmates, also pay him a visit. For the yearly spiritual power test, they explain that their teacher asked them to give him a bracelet, where they must gauge their strength using the bracelet in order to select the top scorers in the nation to compete against other schools in the sword competition. By constructing a force sphere, Sun Rong is promoted to the position of second strongest student. Gao Hao and Chen Kao received enough points to enter the competition. When Wang Ling's turn comes, he tries to limit his power to 1%. But despite this, he still summons a force sphere that is so large that it disturbs his surroundings and emits a massive blink flash. To avoid being seen, he sends the sphere into outer space. He is still recognized by the system, but it is unable to grade him, so it registers him as null and ranks him as the top student. The friends are all selected to participate in the sword competition, but they are still missing one. So, despite the fact that Froggy is a dog who once was a frog, the instructor advises them to pick him. That is undoubtedly the second strongest in the nation. The instructor informs the students that they will train for 3 days prior to the competition. Everyone starts to ask Wang if he has a sword, but he only responds with a simple yes. Everyone in the competition is required to use their own sword. He descends to his basement in his home, opens a box, revealing his sword to be a young child. When the 3 days are up, they get together and head over to Faction 59's gym. But all he ever considers are ways to avoid the competition and any sort of attention. The other faction is waiting for them when they arrive at the gym. The director of Faction 59 employs her elaborate testing technique to determine Wang Ling's cultivation level value. He decides to take advantage of this, however, and pretends to be injured in order to withdraw from the competition. He collapses to the ground while acting ill, but his seal is beginning to crack. He feels some anxiety as his power suddenly explodes into a huge ball of fire that shoots into space. Despite this, he continues to act hurt in order to be eliminated from the competition and sent home to fix his seal. He is taken to the medical room on a stretcher by some medical personnel, but he is then abruptly set on fire in a purple color. The director of Faction 59 immediately bandages him and prevents him from burning. He is brought to the medical room, but he leaves before they can figure out where he went. As the old seal was gradually deteriorating, he calls his father to ask him to bring the new seal that he's been working on. Wang Ling wanders around the building getting lost while looking for an exit while the rest of the team heads to the gym. When he enters the gym, he witnesses one of the 59 faction's strong students, Bufang, who also set him on fire, destroying Chen Kao's arm. Chen Kao is caught by Wang Ling as she enters, giving his arm its previous shape. As he approaches Bufang, the latter charges at him and attempts to punch him. Wang Ling accepts the blow, stands up, and walks past the weakling as if nothing happened. Everyone is then teleported inside the altars of the 5 elements, where they must engage in combat to take the altars by slapping their swords on them, earning points over time for each occupation. Aiming to defeat them and seize all the altars, Faction 59 places them in each of the various altars and then pursues them. A short while later, it's revealed that Faction 60 has taken control of an altar. Gao Hao is fighting the member of Faction 59 while Wang Ling was watching. But Gao Hao suddenly turned his spiritual power toward Wang Ling. He then commanded him to stand and engage in combat. But Wang Ling refused to move until he became enraged and his heart began to beat rapidly, further weakening his seal, making his dark energy escape through the seal's holes. When Froggy notices this, he rushes to use his force to consume the dark energy Wang Ling's broken seal is spewing out. In order to control Wang Ling's spiritual force, the two of them combine into a single beast. When Wang Ling touches the tip of the Faction 59 man's sword as he points it in her direction, it breaks. He approaches him and gives him a light push with the palm of his hand, sending the man flying in a loud rumble and shake. He then makes the decision to move and seize the altar. After the first altar is taken, he moves on and takes 2 more, giving Faction 60 the upper hand. But soon after, Faction 59 follows Faction 60 behind and seizes the altars for themselves. Wang Ling then makes an effort to speed up in order to take all of the altars sooner. Sun Rong calls him to come up with a new strategy to take the majority of the altars and win the game, interrupting him. While Sun Rong and Gao Hao battle a member of Faction 59. Chen Kao defends the altar of metal and Wang Ling watches over the altar of water. After defeating Chen Kao, Bufang takes control of the altar made of wood, but he soon gives it back when the spirit of his sword reawakens and aids him in retaliation. When Chen Kao defeats him, Bufang becomes enraged and reveals her true identity as the head of the assassins who have been attempting to kill Sun Rong. Wang Ling departs and seizes a different altar. Wang Ling, however, begins to feel overwhelmed by all the emotions he had been unable to feel since becoming friends once he arrives at the new altar. Threatening total failure, the seal. He comes to a stop but does not place his sword on the altar. They both place the sword on the altar after Sun Rong calms him down by telling him that he did it. But as soon as they're done, the leader of the Shadow faction appears and strikes Sun Rong in the back, instantly killing her. She hugs him until her spirit leaves her body, at which point he sobs as he witnesses her vanishing in his arms. Wang Ling then begins to erupt internally, as he recalls every time she smiled, their time at the theme park, and her warm hug. His heartbeat begins to match the rate at which the tears are streaming down his face. He loses control of his anger and destroys the seal and heart-restraining chains as a result of everything they have been through. Froggy tries to stop time from moving, but it is powerless to stop Wang Ling from unleashing his fury on the woman. He brutally punches her, throws her flying, kicks her to the moon and back, and completely pulverizes her. Even though he believed that all he wanted was to be with Sun Rong, he actually desired a calm existence where she was present. He is about to deliver his final blow when he stops himself after thinking of Sun Rong's final words. He tries to revive her, but Froggy tells him there's nothing he can do because the life has already passed away. He breaks down once more. If it meant saving her life, he would rather use all of his spiritual strength. He was only able to see the colors of life because of her. He was lonely before he met her, and people laughed at him and ignored him. He holds her hand as he makes his choice, his hands trembling. The entire world will be reset by him. He tries to get her back repeatedly, but it's ineffective. He tries numerous times, but it just isn't working. According to his sword, her source of life has been totally destroyed. Froggy responds to his question by saying that he could make a different timeline, but it would take a tremendous amount of force. Wang asks if it's enough as he extends his hand into the air and begins to form an energy ball that is several times the size of the Earth. Froggy questions whether it is crazy for him to defy nature's rules and possibly experience lightning. Wang Ling asks, how can that be worse than living without her? As his eyes light up with a new level of tenacity, Wang Ling enrolls in the school in this new world and goes through all the same experiences as before. But this time Sun Rong isn't around. She's not in his class. There's no date. There's nothing. He cries because he feels empty despite the fact that he cannot recall what he is missing. After learning that Sun Rong is Sun Wukong's descendant, the underground rulers of the old world, which is about to be destroyed, sent her back to life. She asks the sword what is going on when she is awake, and he explains everything. She requests to have Wang Ling brought back after realizing that he is doing this for her. The sword informs her that all she needs to do to turn the new world back into the one that existed before is to destroy it. She draws him outside of the new world and stabs the sword into his chest, shattering it. They travel back in time while holding each other's hands, to the time when Shenghuo was battling the phony Bufang. She is killed when Wang Ling uses his strength to stomp her into the ground and crush her to death. They win the game by capturing all 5 altars. As Sun Rong runs after her, it is finally made clear that she has lost all memory because of how time travel operates. It didn't exist. Then Wang Ling's father enters and gives him the seal to keep his strength and feelings in check. Wang Ling may never date Sun Rong, but all he wants is for there to be peace on Earth. For more anime recap, click here to subscribe and watch more. Thanks for watching.